I'm a big fan of grunt mecha. You know, give me a Jim, give me a Zaku, give me a Leo, you know, and I'm happy. And so whenever Bandai does a high-end new grunt mecha, I'm always hyped. You know, when they did the perfect grade Zaku's in the back there, you know, still the green mass production type Zaku is the only grunt perfect grade Bandai has ever done. Every other one has been like a specialized custom or a unique one-of-a-kind unit or something. So that thing has a special place in my heart. But every time they do a new grunt suit in Master Grade, I'm always hyped. Especially when it's one that I dig this much. Like, you know, when they did the Nemo from Zeta Gundam. That was really cool. You know, that was one that you wouldn't have expected would ever get done. Stuff like the Leo for Gundam Wing. You know, that caught me completely by surprise when they announced that a few months ago. But this is one I've been waiting for a long time. This is one I've been super hyped about. Never was confident they were ever going to do one, but I am super excited that they did. This is the RGM-89 Jegan. This is the main primary grunt mobile suit as seen used in Shaw's Counterattack, but also featured as one of a dozen different variants across the Unicorn franchise, as well as, I believe, in Thunderbolt and a few other ancillary media. So, yeah, I like this thing. And I'm really excited to crack it open. So that's some pretty dramatic box art. The featured Jegan in the center of the box. You don't usually see box art with battle damaged featured art, but the shield especially has got some big chunks missing out of it. The shoulder armor has got some dents and damage to it, and just overall the entire mobile suit just has like a really nasty, worn out look to it, like it has seen some pretty hefty combat. But overall, it's a very dramatic picture. Aside from just the one Jegan in the center, there's another one here. There's a bunch more in the background. A few of them are riding base jabber, I believe they're called, platforms, like sub-transport platforms. And there's some sort of battleship going on in the background. I'm guessing this is supposed to be a scene from Shaw's Counterattack, but hard to say because the Jegan was kind of a mainline mobile suit for several years in the Universal Century after the events of Shaw's Counterattack. Box side, you've got your feature callouts, hand parts. It has like swappable fingers with assembled palm and posable thumb. Got some posability features on here. Other side just shows off the inner frame and then has a little bit of history detail. First of all, we got runner J2. This is our clear blue. We've got our visor, our forehead sensor, and I'm guessing this is the rear of the head. This actually might be for the beam rifle. Can't say for sure, but I'm sure there's probably a sensor on it. And this is probably the forehead sensor, so it's got a clear lens for the front and the back. It wouldn't be too difficult to mount an LED inside the head, I would imagine, to light the forehead from both ends, as well as the visor. It's a nice looking visor. It's got a nice angled chunk on the front of it that kind of gives it a neat profile. Runner C looks like some thigh parts, some venting thrusters on here, some grenades maybe, part of a shield I'm guessing, and also the frame for the head. This looks like pretty much a complete frame. There might be an additional panel that goes on the back to just kind of close it up, but I would guess this is the complete head frame, and then you just mount the armor panels over top of it. Not especially complicated, but still neat. There's a rail on the side right here that might be for an accessory pod. I know that the Jegan has an accessory machine gun that can mount to the side of the head. But not sure. I want to say I think that goes on the other side of the head, but I can't remember for sure. But there is a molded eye sensor there. It'd be nice if maybe it was a little more detailed, or if maybe there was like a clear lens you could insert, but looks alright. Runner I, we've got armor panels for the head, so we've got the side of the head, you got the faceplate, the forehead, the actual forehead itself, and then the crest, mohawk, probably parts of the shield, guessing booster, backpack parts. These would be probably the thrusters behind the shoulders, like on the backpack, but they stick up from it, kind of like the Gundam Mark II, and more backpack parts. Beam saber blades, standard SB1, dated 2006. Seen these ones a million times. Runner F2, we've got some thruster inserts and various other insert parts. It's a curious shade of orange. It's kind of a darker, desaturated orange than we usually see with most Master Grades. Like the Wing, or not the Wing Zero, the New Gundam, and also the Sazabi both have like orange inserts for the thrusters, but they're much more yellow. This is a very interesting shade of orange, and I kind of like it. I got Runner E. This is primarily weapon stuff. You got the beam rifle, beam barrel, top carry handle, I'm guessing, fits over right here, as well as the magazine, and some armor parts for the shield, primary rear structure panel, and then the upper plate. Got our sticker sheet, clear-backed, self-adhesive, just Earth Federation Space Force, EFSF, a couple of Londo Bell logos, a lot of like no step and warning and like individual model unit numbers. Not really into stickers. Runner J1, got a couple of grenades or maybe rockets. I've got the chin. The Jegan does have a Gundam-style chin in its face, and I kind of like that. The V-crest on the center codpiece section. It's a very dramatic V, like much more elongated than is typical. And then the cockpit hatch. Runner MP is most of the hand parts. This is a fairly standardized runner now that we're getting in place of any kind of articulated hands, especially on these larger models. The Jegan is a larger class, I believe 19.5 meters in height, give or take. So taller even than like the double Zeta Gundam. But you got a standard palm piece. You've got two-part thumb, so it's got a ball joint and then a knuckle in the middle. And you get your swap-out fingers. And I'm not sure if this part gets used for it, but this is the joint assembly that would actually mount it to the forearm. I've seen this part get ignored on several models in favor of a more specialized joint. Runner A1, you got your pilot figure, and the armor plate for the back of the hand, and then mostly midsection parts, waist detail. And there's some spaces here where parts would clip onto. I'm guessing maybe this might be how the side skirt armors attach. Not totally sure. Runner H1, you've got some leg stuff. armor parts for the lower legs. I've always been a big fan of the lower leg of the Jegan because it just, this big flare armor, just, it looks very Zaku-esque, and I really like it. You've also got the, I believe this is the left side skirt armor, which has a grenade rack in it. So you got a panel that can flip down, and you can access 3 individual grenades, and also the main armor plate for the shield. Runner H2, got the armor parts for the upper leg, front parts for the lower leg, armored for the feet, chest plate parts. There's a lot of gates on here for areas that presumably could be swapped out. I'm guessing different versions of the chest, different lower legs could be swapped out for different variants of the Jegan. Runner G1, so we've got the other side skirt armor. This is the beam saber storage. So this is the actual skirt, and then the beam saber is right here. I think the base of the beam saber plugs into this socket, and then the whole thing hinges up, and the beam saber kind of emerges for the pilot to access it. I've also got one of the upper forearm sleeves, more forearm parts. I'm guessing this might be part of. These all look like they're center line parts, so they're probably on the torso someplace. Some shoulder armor stuff, lower forearm. I'm liking some of the detail on here. Like there's just like these simple geometric little rectangular notches cut into a lot of these parts, and it just kind of gives it some character. Runner A2. This is an odd color, and I kind of like it. It's kind of like a gray-green. But you got armor parts for the feet. You've got the accessory head-mounted Vulcan cannon. This might be a part for the cockpit, not sure. And then the collar for the neck. Runner F1, we've already looked at F2, so all of this part was covered, but here you've got the primary engine bell, as well as the insert for the V-crest in the waist. There's a lot of gated off areas on here. There's a gate right here, there's a gate right here, there's 2 more here, 2 more here, and 2 more here. So this runner has a million different options from the looks of it that can be all swapped out for different variants. Runner G2, we already looked at G1, which has an extra bit on here. The rest of this is all duplicated. Runner B, we're finally getting into some frame parts. I've got the chest, the waist, the actual cockpit, which does partially replicate the spherical linear seat cockpit design. So you have the actual pilot seat. I'm guessing these are the shoulder pegs. These might be hip assemblies. Some interesting linkage and mechanical detail in there. So it's probably the shield mount latch. That is a mighty big engine bell. Yeah, that is hefty. In fact, I don't think I've even seen an engine bell quite that large on even a perfect grade. So to say nothing of a master grade, that is enormous. And then just some additional joint parts, an extra set of fingers. Maybe the must be that the handset fingers probably just aren't quite designed to fit the beam rifle, so they must have included an extra one just specifically for that purpose. But there's also an action base stand latch, which is mounted at an angle, so that's interesting. I guess it's probably because the bottom of the waist actually doesn't sit flat, like level with the ground, so it kind of have to be. Yeah. Runner D2. More frame parts, probably shoulder or hip joints, frames for the feet, frames for the arms. Yeah, just a lot of frame parts, as well as a couple more engine bells. Runner D1, you got frame for the lower leg, which is coming loose. Shoulder armors, guessing maybe knee parts, upper leg, just some other joints here and there. And finally, the last two runners are just copies of D1 and D2. And there's a curiosity that I'm just realizing. At no point have we seen one of two things that are standard for Gundam models. We have seen no polycaps, and we have seen no multicolored runner. Every single runner has been a single color. Yeah, I had a feeling this thing was of polycapless design, but I wasn't totally sure. Inside the box also we have a flyer for the P Bandai base jabber, which, yeah, not super thrilled about P Bandai, but when am I ever? But this is one I can easily skip. The base jabber is basically a subflight platform that mobile suits can dock up with to transport them from their capital ship to the combat area, so they don't have to expend any of their own fuel. And then once they take off from them, then they basically just become a big missile. There's also a flyer for the Gundam base Tokyo. I can't read any of this. Standard instruction cover, just a copy of the box art. Starts off history of the Jegan, just some bio info, some development history as it's developed from the RGM-86 Jim 3, the MSA-003 Nemo, and the RGM-88X Jeddah. So these three were kind of the immediate predecessors that the design congealed into form the Jegan. And then, of course, you've got your different variants, your Stark Jegan, your Jegan Burnham type, your Jegan Type B, and your Jegan Heavy Equipment type. Presumably, these will all get done eventually as P Bandai exclusives. Next page, you've got your parts callouts, which continues over on the next page. You've got your assembly directions, how to use your stickers and trim your parts and whatnot. And then assembly proper begins with the torso. It does not look like it's an overly complicated model. It looks like it should be able to get thrown together in a couple of hours. So, yeah, torso takes about 1.5 pages, head takes half a page. Arms each take about a page. Center section, MS Traxon's UC-0093, Shaw's Counterattack. So you got a trio of Jegans taking on Gyune Gus's Yak Doga, which kind of disappointed that they're not doing a Yak Doga in Master Grade, but the very fact that it's getting done in 100 scale at all has me excited. Love the Yak Doga. I just hope that when they get around to doing Quest Pariah's Yak Doga, that it's a mass release and not a P Bandai, but it'll be a P Bandai because Bandai hates me. Other side, we've got just kind of our articulation details, some other history, and I don't know if I've seen this feature before. It's a photo of the model with translucent armor just kind of showing off the frame. Like it's photoshopped, but it's very interesting. Construction continues with the lower torso, then onto the legs, and backpack, and then onto the weapons. And then last page, finally, you've got your marking guide and no paint guide to speak of. I guess that would have been in the center. Yeah, it just kind of calls out what colors you need, but doesn't Doesn't really specify where they go. There's no actual paint guide in this, which is kind of different. Finally, back page just got a beauty shot of the completed model. So yeah, that thing has some really interesting features. Yeah, Bandai is really on their game when it comes to, like, I don't like the word pre-tooling, but it's a word that I hear used a lot in this kind of usage. Like, for models that are pre-designed to be adapted for other purposes. Like, I hear that word a lot in the Transformers fandom. Like, you'll see, let's say, a Sideswipe toy that that they can throw a different head on and transform it slightly differently, and it becomes a Sunstreaker toy. You know, they did that in like 2008. And now they do that all the time with like different heads and slightly different transformations, different accessories, different wings, or slightly different shell for the car mode or whatever. They're designed from the ground up, from the start, to be adapted from one to the other very easily. And it looks like Bandai really took that, they took a lesson for this one specifically. Like, there's so many different variants of the Jegan that they could just milk this cow for years. You know, and when issuing new variants with so many areas, with so many parts of these runners that are gated off, it wouldn't be like, you know, doing like when I did the heavy arms. It had so many duplicate parts because these areas on the runners weren't gated. They couldn't leave these parts gated off, so you ended up with like 2 Gatling assemblies for the chest. You ended up with 2 complete sets of arms, or 2 complete sets of shoulder armors, 2 complete backpacks, because these areas were not gated off. But now, because they're doing that so much with this and with other grunt type mecha, they're able to do that. They're able to just churn out more and more and more variants without having quite so much wasted plastic, so many wasted parts on runners. And that's a great way to keep the cost down. Like, legit. I mean, I'm not upset about that at all. That is a great way to keep cost to the consumer down, because they're not producing more plastic than they have to. You know, they're only engineering what they need to, they're only manufacturing what they need to, and in the colors that they need to, and then they're releasing it out the door. And so it's a great way, yeah, to keep costs down. So I commend them for that. Good job, Bandai. I am super hyped to build this. I actually got 2 of them. I don't know what I'm going to do with the second one. Custom paint scheme, maybe. Battle damage it. I don't know. But I've got a spot up on the shelf already picked out, right next to New Gundam. But that is that for the Jegan. I might stream a build of this. I'm going to take it up north with me. And I might try and stream a build of it, because I think it would be fun. And it's not too difficult. Not to mention, I'm just kind of enjoying doing the streams. The Zeta stream has gone over really well. I've gained a fair few new subscribers just because of that. So that's cool. Thank you out there to all my new subs. Anyway, so yeah, thank you everyone out there for watching, and happy modeling.